Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of Speak On It. I am your host. My name is Charles, and we have a really exciting one for you guys. We're going to be discussing with you one of the, I would say, one of a modern chilling masterpiece. All right. I think Jarrell would probably attest to that. I think, but we'll get into that. We'll see what Jarrell thinks in a moment. It's the book that we're going to be discussing, which is called The Last Book You'll Ever Read. And this book is from Vault Comics, one of my favorite independent publishers. And it's written by Cullen Bunn and the art by Layla Leese. Hope I pronounced that correctly. So Layla Leese. So this is a supernatural horror thriller that takes us on this journey into the darkest corners of humanity. So without further ado, but let me first introduce my partner in crime over here, Jarrell. What's going on, man?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Charles. It's great to be here today to discuss this very horrific book. And the first thing I want to ask you is, did you read it, Charles? Did you read it, or did you close the book and throw it away?
I read it actually a few times, actually.
Oh my gosh, why did you? You don't
Now
know.
I'm going to turn feral.
So yes, I can't even trust you. I don't know whether if I would have come to your place, when you rip my guts out or something, or you go to a gas station and eat somebody or chew somebody up. I don't know.
Just might. You never know, man. You know. I love prime rib. I love chicken. I love hamburger.
I love barbecue too. Looks like people are in trouble since we read this.
Oh man, so this is just an amazing story. One of my favorites. Cullen Bunn is just, if anybody who is not familiar with this guy, he's done some fantastic work. He's one of my favorite modern writers, and if you guys have not looked at some of his other stuff, he actually did Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. That's him. If they plan on doing that particular style of storytelling for this new Deadpool movie, think Cullen Bunn. He also did Darth Maul, which was really amazing, about that character and deep dive into how he was raised in hate. So he's great. I mean, he's a fantastic writer. He's one of my favorites. And Layla Leese, I mean, I'm hats off to this, this fantastic artist. She did an amazing job with this, as far as the visuals and the imaging and everything. So first off, I got to ask you, what did you think as a horror fan? What did you think of this particular story?
Oh, wonderful. It really gives me this classic feel of a classic horror book. And it's definitely like a long Twilight Zone episode. And except it's very visceral, very horrific and violent. I like the way the story is told, where you're given a lot of clues and hints, a lot of mystery behind, why are people reacting this way to this book. And it kind of drives you mad as you read it, because it's driving me crazy about why are people reacting this way towards the book that's being read. And as you read the words, what she wrote, it's like, man, I'm starting to feel a little, weird too. Like I feel like I'm not liberated in some way or something. Maybe there's something primal in me that needs to come out, and maybe I need to run amok in the streets and start clawing at people. I don't know. But the book
You
could
don't
be
already do that, Jarrell? You don't already do that? I thought you, I thought
maybe I
you
can't tell you. So I mean, the words and everything and what she writes is convincing, and I can see how a lot of people might be in their lowest of lows in their lives. So when they read something like this, it might um, catch them in some way. It might get their attention. It might be something that hits them to the core. But yet, you don't know what's the sinister thing behind this book. Did she
Mhm.
sell to the devil? Like maybe what a celebrity would do for riches and fame or something. How did this come about? What is the origins of this book? And so I wouldn't want to give anything, but I think it's just fine storytelling. I love the characters and how um, in the beginning you kind of don't like well, in my opinion, I didn't like the author, because I was like, if you're telling the story to people, you're going on tours and stuff, and everybody's going crazy over your words, why would you continue doing it?
Mhm.
So I won't spoil the reason why, but that one line that she said alone was something that I definitely could relate to as a writer. So
Mhm.
that's when I was like, oh, so maybe I don't dislike her after all. Maybe she
Mm.
has a strong point, in the desires of an author and what you really want out of that. So I find that very compelling, characterization wise. And same thing goes for the bodyguard that she's with. I love his development too, and I
Yes.
like their journey together. On these book tours while the world is going mad.
Yeah, so I mean, and for those who are not familiar with this book, the premise, Cade, who is a writer, and she is, she did this, this new book. It's really taken off. It's really gaining a lot of traction. It's really popular, and she's on this book tour. And what starts to happen is as people read this book, something in them, something triggers sort of like this primal instinct inside of people, and they start to behave in the most vicious ways. So they're blaming her, they're blaming the book, they don't understand the reason why she would write this book. And that's why they call it the last book you'll ever read. So the premise is basically after you read this, the decline of humanity, the decline of society as we know it. So it starts to open up a lot of questions about who we are, what keeps us in check. So that's basically the premise of the story, but it goes into so many more like really deeper levels of conversation, which we would love to get into later once you guys read the book. But for those who read it, we love to hear what you guys thought of it. It's one of my favorite books to read. And I've been reading a lot of indie comics. Jarrell can attest to this. I've been reading like crazy, and it comes down to a lot of the independents that's been, just doing it up. And Vault Comics, man, I got to give it to those guys. They just continuously just surprise me with some of the stuff that they're doing. And this book is definitely one of those books that to me is one of my favorites. I'm probably going to read it again after I'm done with this podcast. So, so I'm just saying, but yeah. Well, so we touched on the fact of, as far as the plot of the story, Olivia Cade, who is this, big time author, and you don't know if you want to, if you like her or not. And I think that's sort of the point. I think they did that on purpose for us to not really get on her side. Because as I'm reading the story, I'm like, okay, well, where's the redeeming factor? What's going to happen? What's going on? And I really feel like that, they kind of play with you as well as an individual. Like, what do you take from this, type of thing. So I really like the pacing and the way they took the time with that, so that narrative, it introduces our primal thinking, animal instincts being unlocked. What elements, like how does that element how should I say, how does those elements to you overall, as far as the suspense and horror to the story, how does that play? How did that play out to you?
Most certainly, Charles.
Yeah.
Most certainly. It's so interesting as she reads the book in the beginning. You notice that there's people on a train, and you got these two passengers that are scoping out somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, this is going to be our next guy that we're gonna pickpocket, and mug." And you think this old man is vulnerable as heck, and that he can't do anything, that he's defenseless. And then once you turn the page, boom,
Hmm.
it happens so quick, and you're like, what the heck? So it brings that mystery into, why would a person do that? Some old man doing something like that. And I won't
Hmm.
go into details. It's so bad, but you need to experience and witness this yourselves, my fellow readers. And
Yes.
then after that,
Agree.
it just, and as it goes on, as she continues reading, you see these other things that are randomly appearing, these images, that you would probably, want to take your eyes off of the page for a minute, because you're like, what the heck? It's really shocking. And I love that build up, because it adds on to the suspense and mystery of what's the correlation here. She's reading a book about the damnation of society, and people going back to their primal instincts and not to lie about those things, that we try to sugarcoat everything as human beings and be civil, but yet we're at the end of the day, we're animals. That's an interesting concept of things. And on top of that, you
Hmm.
have a lot of superstitious elements. So it's like,
Hmm.
where is this leading to? Is it a social thing? Is it a spiritual thing? Is it a programming thing? What is
Yeah.
she trying to do? Is she trying to do a social experiment by having people kill each other? Who knows? Is she a mad scientist? You have to find out. But it's so compelling on how things build up, and how you have these random images show up of like uh, beings.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't want to go into details, God, I don't want to spoil it, but to see, these random things just sprinkle and be peppered onto the pages, while, you know, things could be calm and soothing. I like how it kind of keeps you on your toes, and that you're a bit off balance. Like, whoa, what is this? Like,
Hmm.
what's the shocking image? So I like how it plays on that.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. And the funny thing about this is the book is called Satire, and satire has so many different meanings in the Greek mythology as well as the Roman mythology, but they all share the fact that it's half man, half beast in some way, shape, or form. Half man, half goat, or half man, half monster with a tail, or something of that nature. So they all kind of share a little bit of the some similarities, but then also it talks about metaphorically for a man whose sexual desires are stronger than his sense of decency. So just take that as some of the themes that's being transpired here in this comic, but definitely something that I felt it just it just it just got me going. Like I couldn't wait to get to the next page and get to the next page and get to the next page. And I love books like that. I love stories like that. The other thing I will say, there's a touch of what happens when we are faced with certain things, when things are taken away, things are, fear, all these different things, that starts to trigger us and how we behave, what we, end up becoming, in terms of as a society. And it has all those different types of topics and themes that we all, I mean, I think we all in a way we feel comfortable. And when I say comfortable, I'm not meaning that, hey, all of us have financial situations, some have health, whatever. But I'm talking about the fact laws, we have policies, we have things in place. If something happens, there's consequences, right? Well, what happens when those consequences are not there? What happens when those things are taken away? And it really questions that. So it really had you thinking. This is a book that after you read it, you want to have conversations about so many things, and that's what I love about this story. So this is definitely one of my top favorites. And I'm glad you touched on the detective, the guy well, not a detective, but he was like hired as a security guard. Connor, I believe his name is. And it does touch upon um, Connor's role. Well, I think he is a detective, and his where he starts and where it ends for him. So definitely something to get into. So overall, Jarrell, what did you think about, like, as far as, is this one of your favorites? Is this one of your, okays, or is this one of your, like, what do you feel overall about this particular story? This,
I'd say this is a favorite. I think that the story is just so well done and well told. The way it's structured is like how a horror book should be structured. The artwork, very good artwork. I love the details of where everything is taking place, and the penciling is just excellent. The It's just very good. It's very good. It's very creepy too. There's so many things that you can miss out on each panel, and that's why I
mm-hmm,
can see why you've read it maybe like twice and three times and going for another chance, because there's something you could definitely miss in the panels. It could be the slightest thing, from a facial feature to the way someone reacts to maybe an object or a detail that you might have missed. It's pretty good. The panel layouts, excellent.
mm,
Um, I love how you have bordered panels and then you have panels that flies off of the page.
yes,
Things are projecting at you. I love how things remain calm and soothing, and then it ramps up very quickly.
yeah.
Uh, it's just so well done, man. And I'm flipping through the pages right now. It's just
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I got my this is issue 8. If you
Uh-huh.
guys haven't gone to the stores to pick up, they have the graphic novel, which Jarrell has right there, and I'm pretty sure Vault's Nightfall um, imprint, right? That's on the top there. It's Nightfall, and that's their more, more grittier storytelling. So, and I'm gonna tell you, this one here is, definitely doesn't disappoint. Go to your local comic shop and pick up this. I'm pretty sure you're going to have some fun with it, for you guys who are just horror fans or storytelling fans, or just into the supernatural or monsters, or just the books that make you think, and terrorize, so it definitely has that.
But I
you
wanted
know
I wanted to ask you, Charles. Say you were the author. Say you were
mm,
the writer. Um,
mhm.
would this be a book that you would continue going to book tours with? While people are out there killing each other on the street. Is this something that you would pursue? And also want to ask you, after you answer that, is um, say you were the security guard. How would you react, and what kind of security guard would you be towards the author? Would you be following Connor's footsteps, or do you have your own perspective on things of how you would approach the situation?
Interesting. Well, I mean, definitely it would be very concerning to me if my storytelling is impacting people. But as we continue through this story, we understand what the book really does. It's and I don't want to spoil anything, but we do understand what the book truly is, you know. And so I hate that I can't really say what I want to say, because I don't want to spoil anything. But if I just want to let people know that it is something. There's something that's an elements of those mysteries are revealed later in the story. So I don't but it would definitely be concerning to me. Definitely be shocking to me at first. If what I'm expressing on paper is causing people to behave in such fashion. So yeah, definitely. And as Connor, that's interesting, because I would go in probably sort of similar to what he would go into it with his mindset. as I have this duty. I have to protect this woman. My job is to protect, no matter what, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter who she is or what she represents. This is my duty. He's duty bound, and that's what I would be. I would be the same way, So I hope that answered your question.
Most definitely, yeah. Would if you beat up those guys in the bar?
Bar fights are great. I always. I'm sorry, I'm not a violent guy. Trust me, I'm just, I just listen. Some of my favorite parts of movies is bar fights. So that's some of my favorite. Roadhouse, all of them. The whole
Yeah,
bar
oh,
fights.
Roadhouse is so good. I saw that, I saw that earlier this year, like in the springtime for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah,
really
we're gonna
enjoyed
do it. We're gonna do a nice little thing on Roadhouse one day. So
it. Yeah, you can never
definitely.
go wrong with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just awesome. He does
And I
things.
can kind of see him as this role as Connor. I can kind of, I can kind
Yeah,
of see him. I can see him
that makes
as
sense.
this character,
Yeah,
because he has that charisma and he has that, I mean, rest in peace, Patrick Swayze, man. You are,
yeah. Rest in peace. Love
but yeah,
Patrick,
I
man.
would definitely see him in this role. I would
Yeah,
definitely see him there.
yeah. Patrick Swayze is definitely a guy that I would aspire to. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, he would definitely kill that role, I think. And the interesting part that I like about Connor is that he's such a clean cut guy. He's
Hmm.
like the everyman security guard who's straight by the books in the beginning. But
Yes,
you
he
know,
is. Yes,
after
he
he,
is.
yeah, but eventually, things start, getting in the way. You know how you get in too deep with your client, and
Reality.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's reality.
Kicks
And
in.
and speaking about reality, I feel that, I'm so glad that this book doesn't exist in real life, because if it did, it would be insane. Like I was thinking about what would happen if this reached social media. You know how many people on TikTok would be reading this book? Like they would have like a reading with a bunch of people in the room reading it, and then
Yep.
they'll all be, ripping each other apart.
Yeah.
Imagine that. That
Yeah.
that would be happening. There would be so
Oh,
many like
definitely.
rituals, and it would be madness, man. And that's
Oh,
why I feel like books can be used as a weapon. Books can be dangerous, and that's what I think the last book you ever read is what it can be. It's a dangerous book.
yes, I agree. I
People can
totally agree.
read this, and some crazy nut job could read this book and say, I'm gonna act out the same things that I'm reading and what I see on the pages. Got to be careful, man. Got to be careful. But
Gotta
that's
be
the
careful.
that's the great thing about it. That's what I love about this type of book is daring, and it goes there, and it makes you even feel as a reader, after I finish this book, what's going to happen to me? You know,
Bingo.
some
Yeah.
things you got to be careful about. When I
Well,
watch
I'm about to,
certain movies and stuff, I'm like, I'm looking left and right on me like The Exorcist.
well, it touches on that. It touches on those things, like what
Yeah.
our true nature, what attracts us to certain things. So
Mhm.
it's just so much to it's so much to talk about.
It is.
We do have to we do another one where we do a spoiler, because and that one is going to be interesting, and
Okay.
hopefully we can get more people on and really have a really great discussion about this one.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know what other people think, and interested to know what you guys think as well. So definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and clue us in if you guys read the book. But on that note, I'm definitely going to close out another one. This was great. We're going to do more. We have a few books we already have lined up that we're going to be doing. Most of them are going to be independents. We're going to eventually do a couple of Marvel and DC, but we're just trying to show some independent love to some of the stories out there that people should be picking up and reading. As far as comics is concerned, and comics is really taking a big turn for the better, in my opinion. I really love what's going on out there so much. So I'm just really appreciative and thankful, for what
Yeah.
we've gotten.
Yeah, me too. There's so much good stuff, independent work out there that's so amazing. So all I have to say
Hmm.
is, independent writers out there that self-publishing, keep it up. And
Hmm.
for even aspiring publishers that want to write their own comics, and get independent publishing, please do. I
Hmm.
encourage that, because we enjoy these unique stories that you have to
Definitely,
find. So
definitely,
amazing, so
definitely.
amazing. A lot of people complain that, oh, the comics is oversaturated. Everybody's doing a comic. Well, if it's good, then why complain?
Yeah,
So
I mean, there's some, some stuff that's, obviously it's not for everybody, and then there's some stuff that resonates with most people. That everybody has, different strokes with different folks. I always look at it that way, but
yeah,
yeah, keep doing
I
it.
think this book it's for everybody.
Yeah, let's get primal. Let's get primal, everyone.
Yeah.
Let's get. Oh yeah. So again, thank you guys. Thanks, Jarrell. Always, man. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, man. And we're definitely gonna be looking forward to doing the next one. Support the local comic shops out there. Support those guys and support these independent writers and artists. Support those guys as well. They're really doing a great job. And let's keep these pages turning and the conversations flowing, guys. And until next time, keep those comics close and always remember to speak on it. Thanks again, and bye-bye for now.
Peace out, y'all.